Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about AP writing style or the Associated Press writing style. This is just for journalism and journalistic productions or journalistic publications. AP style is similar to how English majors or high school students use MLA style, and that stands for Modern Language Association. You might have also heard of APA style. It's not the same as AP. APA is used in science publications, but with each type of publication, each type of writing, you have a different style that you have to match, and these styles dictate what your spelling looks like, what your punctuation looks like, what abbreviations look like, and make sure it's consistent across that type of writing, for in this case, across journalistic writing. Again, it's a standard writing style of journalism. It tells the writer how to consistently write numbers, dates, names, proper nouns, punctuation, spelling, abbreviations, pretty much everything. And it provides consistency within your writing and news writing as a whole. So if you see an abbreviation a certain way in one story, in a story that uses the same abbreviation for like the Washington Post, it should look the same because it's a journalistic publication and you want that consistency across the articles, right? Today we're actually going to talk about what AP style shows you how to do names, locations, numbers, and dates and times. It shows you how to do a lot more things. I would recommend that you guys have, if you don't already, have an AP style guide, and you can get those on Amazon for about $20. I have some older ones in the classroom if you guys want a few copies of that, where I'm actually allowed to get rid of them because they are older. So every 2 or 3 years they actually update it, but it's not major changes. But I definitely would recommend getting a 2019 or 2018 AP style guide. Again, it's just a book that you can reference at all times. I just want to start with some common AP style examples. Now, this is a dense slide. I realize that at any point in time, you can go back and reference this if you want. I actually sent a master slideshow. And it's without the audio, so it's not a video. You can actually go through the slideshow and look at this as long as you want, whatever you want to do. But these are lots of text. I'm not going to read through all of it, obviously. The first thing AP style really dictates is names. So in AP style, we don't use courtesy titles, even at scholastic journalism level. So for example, with our principal, Dr. Granger, in a news story that my kids write, in AP style, you don't use that courtesy title, Doctor or Mr. We use his full name, Chauncey Granger, in the first mention, and then after that, we can just use his last name, Granger, Granger, Granger. So stay away from courtesy titles unless that person specifically requests to be referred to as just like Mr. Granger or Miss Goff. That usually doesn't happen, but you always want to be courteous to them at all times. Another exception is doctor. So if the person is a medical doctor, you can go ahead and use that courtesy title of doctor. I talked about this a second ago. The first time you use someone's name or first reference, you want to include the first and last name. So, and any ID. So if you're talking to a police officer, you can say Police Officer Jimmy Gore, like it says in this example, or Dr. Alton McGregor, Head of Pediatrics. You want to give them that job description before you say their first and last name. Now, on second mention, you can just use their last name. We capitalize titles, but not job descriptions. So Dean is a title. Chester Worthington, and professor is not a title, that's just a job description. Some of this is kind of nitpicky, of course, but if you have that AP style book, like I said, when in doubt, check it out. Check out that AP style book. It will tell you exactly what you need to write.
Good afternoon.
And with locations, the main thing with locations is that you are making sure that we know specifically the city and the state and it's separated by a comma if need be, because you don't want to get those two confused. An interesting thing about locations, though, is if you live in a well-known city, so like St. Louis or Seattle or Miami are more examples, you don't have to use a state. You don't have to put a state abbreviation or a state at all. A big part of Associated Press style is brevity, or saying things in as few words as possible. So if you can cut out a state, that's perfect, because you don't need it. We know where Seattle is. It's in Washington. We know where Miami is. It's in Florida. St. Louis is in Missouri. Everybody knows that. That's kind of basic information. So you wouldn't have to put the full state there. It also says here, spell out the full name of states with or without a city name accompanying it. You want to spell out that full name. Use a comma between the city and state. That's just proper grammar in general. And then we look at street names. You guys talk a lot about streets and street names because of things that are happening in town. So, using abbreviations like avenue, boulevard, street, that should only happen with numbered addresses. So when we looked at the address for that news brief in the earlier example from the first or the second video, it had a actual address number. You would only want to put street abbreviated, High Street. And that, again, is only if you have the numbered address. Now, if you don't have the numbered address, so if you just know it's on High Street, but you don't know the house number or the business number, you spell out street, S-T-R-E-E-T. Okay? Again, nitpicky, but just good to note. Next thing we're going to talk about is numbers. The main thing with numbers, and there's only a few exceptions, is you need to spell out whole numbers up to and including 9. Okay, up to and including 9. So anything after 9, you write out with digits. Okay, so if it is 10, you write 10. If it is 5, you type out F-I-V-E. Okay, spell out numbers if it's the first word in a sentence. So even if it is 10, you want to spell it out if it's the first word in a sentence, except for years. So if you're saying in 2012, blah, 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 something happened, you can write out the digits 2012. You don't have to spell out 2012. Ages, always use digits. So the 7-year-old girl or the 93-year-old woman, always use digits. Percentages are always digits. Money, you only use digits up to 999,999. Probably not going to write that number too many times, but you want to spell out cents. If you're saying anything, again, above this number, 999,999, you want to use like 1.6 billion. You want to write out billion. Measurements is similar. 6 miles, you want to do the digit and then spell out the unit. And last but not least, days, dates, and times. These are important because we always timestamp our stories, or we should be timestamping our stories. I know my students forget sometimes. Spell out months when they stand alone or only with years. So I was born in September 1991. I would spell out September. We start classes in January, so that's standing alone. You spell that out. Abbreviate months when used with a date. Here's an example. I was born on September, S-E-P-T period, 3, 1991. September 3rd, 1991. You would actually spell that out or use the digits and then an abbreviation for the month. So more examples here. August, AUG period, 15, September 3rd, October 1st. You're using that abbreviation when it has a day attached to it. But again, some they have 5 letters or less. I don't know why that's a rule. It just is. Do not use the TH, ND, or ST with numbers. So if I'm trying to say the second, I shouldn't put 2 ND, just put 2. Do not use on with a date. So we left July 5th, not we left on July 5th. A lot of AP style, again, is taking out those unnecessary words. We don't need the word on. It's not necessary. So in AP style, you would take that out. With times, you're using digits, except for noon and midnight. Easy enough. Some practice sites and resource, because AP style is not something that you're just going to automatically know, and it's certainly not something you want to try to memorize wholeheartedly. I don't expect my students to do it because I never had to do it, but I did frequently reference my AP style book, and there are just some things that once you get the hang of, you'll remember it. But I would recommend going to platformmagazine.org. When you click on that, you actually have several different quizzes to go through, and it's kind of fun. And they also have the actual like classes and rules on there. Also, you could click on AP Style Book, and this is where I get my AP Style books. You can obviously order them off Amazon. They come in large rings, and it's loose. It's not like a hardback book or anything. It's like a notebook style, so it's easier to flip through and bookmark and highlight, things like that. But I always get mine from the AP Style Book website, specifically because sometimes on Amazon, you get books that are marked up, things like that. Or people have taken out the actual pages and combine them with other ones to try to sell you older versions for cheap. So I only get them from here, and you only really need 1 or 2 copies, I would say, for your staff, for your reporters. But it also gives a lot of information about AP style and quizzes here, like I said. So it's good resources. And of course, if you ever, want to ask me a question, I'm completely open to that. I'm fine with that. And if you have any more questions or you want to know more, never hesitate to email me, call me, message me. I have all my information over here. That's my personal email. I have a professional one as well. That's the one through the school. Cell phone, text me. I don't mind that. Just tell me who you are. And obviously, you can reach me via Facebook. Cam messages me, so he has that information as well. Guys, thanks so much for letting me kind of do these little videos for you. I really appreciate the thought. And I obviously always appreciate you stopping by the classroom and talking to my kids. It's really important to them. I hope you guys learned something from these videos, and if you didn't, let me know. Let me know anything else you guys would want to know about. I'm absolutely willing to send you any resources that I have and answer any questions. Thanks, guys.